Happy Moonday, witches. We are going to be discussing the energy of August 10th through August 16th. And there is a lot of magical things happening this week. So when there's a lot going on, especially like astrology wise, we don't want to overwhelm ourselves. Instead, we want to seek clarity. And so that's going to be the purpose of today's reading. And really the focus of this week is I want to talk about Wednesday, August 12th. What's going on, because there's a lot going on. And I know that I've been intuitively really tapping into things and feeling a certain type of way. And then the research I've been doing on the energy of this week, it all aligns. And so I feel like you'll be feeling in tune with a lot of this as well, especially if you're here, you're into this kind of stuff. So let's dive right in. August 12th, on Wednesday, we have a total solar eclipse in the sign of Leo, which is our new moon, right? So we have this typically like new beginning energy of the new moon that's happening with a solar eclipse in Leo. So it's kind of like this two side of one coin of like this new beginnings happening in this fiery, passionate, visible sign at the same time that there's this like shedding and releasing that must happen first in order for us to kind of reach our truest potential and the truths that lie within. It's also important to note that this solar eclipse is happening 20 degrees in Leo, which is near the South Node. And this is relevant because the South Node is all about releasing, completion, renewal. And so this energy just kind of doubles down on this need this week to kind of like slow down and reflect. Typically there's this, talk in magical communities about how not to do spell work or really any type of in-depth rituals around eclipses. To each their own, you can do whatever that you want. But why this is commonly said is because during eclipses, we really want to slow down and tune in and observe, because this is where we're going to see the things that it's like been a long time coming of like, what was this, all the things that's been happening in my life? Like, what was the truth of that? Why was that happening? Why am I here? What are the truths I need to face within? What are things I'm ready to really look at and confront? And so rather than using this time to manifest, again, do what you want. But my advice would be rather than using this week to manifest, I would use this week to observe, to slow down, do some journaling practices, do some meditations if you can, and just allow yourself to kind of take a step back in any way possible and just observe everything you've been feeling. Now, you may be feeling like lately you've been outgrowing things. Maybe it's an environment, it's a person, a relationship in your life that you've been distancing from. Maybe you've been noticing just an old version of yourself that you're really stepping out of, and you're in that kind of uncomfortable in between growing stages. But all of this highlights things that must be kind of outgrown and accepted so that we can step into our full potential, because we are still in Leo, right? There's all this shedding happening with the South Node eclipse, but it's still in the sign of Leo. It's still like this promise, like at the end of the tunnel, follow that light, follow that inspiration, trust the vision you have been working towards, all the things you've been putting effort into your life. But see this as kind of a shedding that must take place first in order to actually step into the version of yourself that's ready to handle what you've been prepping yourself for. So in general, in the collective, some things you may be noticing yourself feeling is, there might be highlights around career pivots at this time, or there might be highlights around you having some sort of like creative awakening where you realize like, wow, I was really meant to be doing this all along, or wow, like this is really calling me. Like, how did I not see it sooner? You may be experiencing shifts in identity as well. We kind of talked about that, but also there's this highlight within this solar eclipse about leadership positions being challenged. So again, Leo energy, you think of visibility, people who are kind of like the top dog in leadership. Those who aren't authentic, who haven't actually been doing the work, are experiencing criticism. We can see that in our politics, right? And a lot more people seeing like the truth of who people are, while the ones who have been a little bit more behind the scenes trying to work up to positions of leadership could be experiencing a push or a nudge to become more visible in this week's energy. But sometimes this can also look like stepping away from leadership roles that don't serve you to step into another. So take what resonates there. But it is, this energy around changing the way that people are seen. Visibility is being challenged because, with the moon in general, illumination of truths is coming through with the moon, and the moon's blocking the sun. It's like, hey, look at me, sit in the unknown. I want to reveal what needs to be revealed. So there's just a lot of truths coming out about people's kind of, intentions behind why they're visible, why they're trying to show something, why they're trying to create a project, whatever it is. And again, talking about Leo, there's this kind of, push of passion behind that all as well. And we did talk about that, but to highlight in your own life, where have you noticed you've been really like leaning into journaling lately, or you just have like a zest to read or a zest to paint again, something you used to do. It's like creative projects coming back around the bend. It's like, hey, you left this in the past because you were busy healing or really focusing on yourself and your growth. But this creative project wants to come back into your arms again. It's ready for you to handle it this time and to nurture it and grow it moving forward. But all in all, the energy of this solar eclipse in Leo is just this great cosmic reset. And so I want to focus on that energy, in talking about this week. It's not a week to get really excited with all this energy getting on and being like, oh, let me like jump in the waters completely and go crazy on this project and like put myself out there visibility wise. It's like prepping yourself. It's like you're backstage and the person that's kind of facilitating, what's going to happen once you get on stage is telling you the game plan. Like before you get on stage and you're visible to everybody, let's really root down on what your intention is. Let's really root down on what you need to release in order to go out there and actually have like productive conversation with the audience, using this all as a metaphor. But this is a cosmic reset. So you are in the prepping stages to release what's not serving you so that you can move forward into more successful visibility. So as if that wasn't enough, okay, like we have a lot to talk about because we haven't even gotten to the cards yet. But as if that wasn't enough, we also have a planetary alignment happening on Wednesday. So this is a planetary alignment of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus. So this is a lot of different archetypes of life coming together, asking for integration. So you might relate to a couple of these themes, or maybe there's just one specific area that's highlighted for you. That will be different for each of us. But Mercury is all about our mind. So you might have like these challenges and perspectives that are trying to come in and integrate during this season, during this week, during Wednesday. Venus is love and values. So you can see themes around love coming in, your values changing, perspective shifts, because we still do want to think about this solar eclipse energy happening with this alignment. So that may mean changes are happening here. Mars is about action. So this may be changing your course of action, the way that you approach things in your life to make them actually progress further, or on the contrary, taking a step back, assessing the action you have been doing. Jupiter, growth. You might see more growth happening at this time. Maybe you can reflect on the past couple of weeks and pinpoint like, where have I been growing in myself or my life? And that might be highlighted more around Wednesday and moving forward. Saturn is about responsibility. So maybe areas that have been neglected are really coming through with the solar eclipse, like it's highlighted in this planetary alignment with the moon saying like, hey, here's an area to kind of focus on and, care for a little more, because that's what really going to help you grow as well. Or in general, just kind of giving yourself acknowledgement and being like, wow, I really have been taking care of things. So take what resonates with each of these. And then Uranus, awakening and change. So again, with the solar eclipse and this planetary alignment, all in all, perspective shifts may be happening for a lot of us. Epiphanies, kind of like this spark of inspiration where we're like, wow, like how did I not see this sooner? And I keep saying that because I've been feeling that this week intuitively, just really feeling like a lot of truths have been coming through where I'm like, yeah, like that's true. Or like, yeah, like I want to follow this course, or you know what? Yeah, like I have been feeling this way. And so I do want to say with that, like focusing on this week again for a bit of reflection will be beneficial to most of us. Journaling, meditation, reflection, observation. It's a great week for that. Last but not least, before we get into the reading, okay, we have one more thing going on Wednesday. We have a meteor shower happening. This is going to be visible, I believe, in a good amount of places. Don't quote me on this, but I think most of the United States will be able to see this. Canada, I'm not going to speak more than that because I don't really know, but it should be visible to a lot of us. So just look this up based on where you're at. I'm going to try to see if I can see this meteor shower happening. But this meteor shower is happening at the same time that we have all these alignments and the eclipse energy happening. And so to me, symbolically, like a meteor shower happening in this energy, I feel like it perfectly represents this South Node eclipse with these themes of letting go, like letting things pass us by that don't serve us. And it is a great week for meditation because that is what meditation is. It's allowing your mind to become a river. You don't latch onto any of the pebbles that are floating in the water. You focus on the water. You focus on releasing. You don't latch onto any thought. And so it's the same thing symbolically happening as we pass this meteor shower, right? It's this integration of like, I know within that if I can release the things that aren't serving me, that there are further opportunities. There's more opportunities to come. There's more inspiration to come. And so I have to trust to allow things to flow to get there. So I just think it's a beautiful symbolic thing happening at the same time that all this other stuff is going on. So with that being said, let's get some guidance from tarot about what to focus on this week. So just like a more intuitive tapping into this energy. What does this week want to share with us, want to share with this collective? Already we have 3 cards coming through. We have the Fool card, which couldn't be more perfect. This is a card of new beginnings. So I think a lot of us really are going to step into that fresh perspective. And so that can really be like an overarching theme for a lot of us. Kind of what we root ourselves down in is like, you know, a lot of things may be coming to the surface to reflect upon, to accept and acknowledge within ourselves. But let's not take it on as a heavy load. Let's see it as a new beginning. And we only take a little bit with us that's necessary in order to move forward. This is a very positive card, feeling optimistic about moving forward. So truly, like, be carefree. Throw the things over the cliff that you don't want to take with you and only take what's essential to move forward in the direction you're desiring. And although this isn't typically a good week to manifest, really, it's okay still to like kind of write down a plan of action, especially with the planetary alignment. Like that's very much like Saturn energy. Saturn is very, you know, a very long-term planet. It's not going to mind if you are going ahead to kind of plan things out a bit, but don't really pressure yourself for action for this week. Just be reflectionary. Think about what you want to take with you and really do some sort of like releasing, meditation, or journaling around like, you know what? I'm not going to take these other things with me though. And so we also have the 4 of Swords. And this is really giving the energy of that rest just being deepened. You know, Swords energy is our thoughts, it's our perspective, and really like not getting overwhelmed in the acknowledgement of what we need to release. Giving ourselves grace that this week might not be super like smooth in the releasing of everything. It might be kind of like these truths coming through that are like, wow, I can't believe how long I was carrying that, or how long I didn't see this truth, or how long I was like not setting these boundaries, whatever it is, to give a lot of grace in this season, because collectively we're all going to be feeling it in some way, shape, or form. It's part of the human experience to be like, wow, you know, having these epiphanies, having these awakenings, and you're like, okay, new level of self, I guess. Like, I wish I would have figured it out sooner, but that's life. Like, don't pressure yourself for kind of like the timing of things during this week. As much as you can, meet it with acceptance. I think that will be fruitful. And I say that because the 4 of Pentacles is coming out. And so there's kind of like a dual message here for a collective of, you know, the more that we can kind of lean into this energy and work with it, the more that we can grow from that place. And the one thing I want to challenge with us, if we can add a little more to this energy, is to not cling too tightly to like the stability that we have while trying to process all of this change of perspective or the truths coming to, you know, the surface, to be like, okay, like I know what my stability is. I know what stability I'm working towards, but I'm not going to clutch too tightly what I have. Like I'm going to sit in it comfortably and be open to change. I'm going to be open to, you know, with that planetary alignment, you know, there's so many things highlighted about like foundations kind of shifting in some way, shape, or form. That doesn't mean you're going to lose your foundations. It honestly, 9 times out of 10 means that either something's going to be removed or built upon in order for that foundation to be stronger. So there's this kind of reminder that like abundance is in all corners of your life. Just don't cling too tightly. We want to be kind of like the river in all aspects, where we allow things to allow things to flow because we have that trust. So all in all, the energy for this week: allow new perspectives and new beginnings to take place. Allow yourself to rest and reflect, and don't cling too tightly to things that may need to change in order to expand more. That was a lot, but I'm excited for this week. I'm excited for Wednesday. I think it's going to be pretty cool. There's a lot to look forward to. I hope that you enjoyed this reading and that you found something that resonates with you. If you would like an oracle card to aid you, to give you a bit of an affirmation to go along with this week, every single Monday in my Coven group chat, I upload a collective oracle card. This group chat is completely free to join. Just go to the link in bio, click the Covens tab, and you'll find the link there. You can also join the membership option I have for my Coven. This gives you access to our monthly virtual gatherings, our Scarlet Rose Coven library, which is full of resources on witchcraft, on healing, on meditations, just different things you can dive into for your own practice. You also gain access to exclusive deals and offerings. There's so much more to dive into for the Coven, so you can also explore that there at the link in bio under the Covens tab. Be sure to follow along for more. I post Moonday readings every Monday for the energy for the week ahead, making each week a little bit more magical for you. Much love, witches.